is up, everyone? Once again, as always, I am one of your hosts, MrDean44, and once again, as always, I am joined by my co-host, DonovanDud. What's up, Donovan?
Hi there, it's Donovan, and we've made it to episode 11. We are now going to be in double digits for a long time.
Yes, eventually we'll hit triple digits, and whenever that day comes, I'll probably cry, but that's a long time from now, so we'll worry about that then. So Donovan, what have you been up to the past week? This is always what we start out with.
Yeah, I've just been playing more of Expedition 33 and Kirby Star Cross Worlds, like two completely different games. And
the Barbie and Oppenheimer of the gaming sphere.
My family hosted a party for like family friends. We played Jamboree TV, that was goofy. Then we played Mario Kart World, that was pretty fun. And then we played a banger of a game, Clubhouse Games. Everyone sleeps on that, but it is a peak Switch game, in my opinion. We played blackjack for like an hour, just wasting our lives. I have sold my kidneys, and we played Ludo, which is Sorry, for like 2 hours. I think we went insane. At first, we were all so bored because it was literally a one-button game. We're like, why are we playing this? And then it ended up being 2 hours, mainly because some people were rage quitting over a game that they thought was boring. So that was a fun time. What about you?
Okay. Let's quickly touch on this because you said Clubhouse Games is a peak Nintendo Switch game.
Peak.
And like from what I've played, I haven't played much of it, and I think it's fun. But is it peak?
Dude, it is so peak. Like, it is. Whenever you're bored. Whenever you're like extremely bored out of your mind, just whip out this game and you just hang out with some friends. You will talk for hours over nonsense, and in the background you'll just have just stupid blackjack or poker or Ludo. It's so
Donovan,
stupid.
I don't know if this defines a peak game.
It is peak. It is so amazing. I don't understand why. It's just amazing. It is a great way to get together.
So if someone walks up to you and says, like, I'm thinking about buying a Switch, like, what is a game I need to get? You're telling me that Clubhouse Games is what you're saying?
Yes. Being dead ass right now.
Okay. So anyway, something I've completely forgot about is that we literally recorded the last episode with Pat like 2 days ago. So not much has really happened since then. Went to class this morning. I almost missed it because my alarm didn't go off. I just mentioned that right before we recorded. But yeah, aside from that, my life's been kind of boring the past 2 days. Nothing too crazy going on. So Donovan, are you ready to? Until now, yes, the special hour is always the highlight of my week. Not even my day, just my week. It's like what keeps me going is recording these videos. So damn. Are you ready to talk about some games though?
Oh hell yeah. No, actually, I hate video games.
Okay. All right. Podcast over, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
All right. See you guys.
First on the chopping block, this is something that we were initially going to hit this last episode, but then we spent 20 minutes ranking characters based on if they would win a spelling bee. So we didn't get around to talking about this last week, but better late than never. Let's talk about Kirby and the Forgotten Land Star Cross Worlds. I think it came out, about a week ago now? I'm at the time of recording. So this is something I was going to talk about on my channel soon, like in a dedicated video, but we can go ahead and hit this now. So first, before we talk about the DLC, do you want to talk about the game itself? Because we haven't extensively talked about Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I know at one point we had a quick little discussion about you saying like, oh, it's like one of the most underrated 3D platformers of all time or something like that. So, we can kind of hit that conversation if you want.
Maybe it's not underrated in like the sphere of like, the 3D platformer, like talking circles, I guess. But I was saying like Kirby in general, if you just go up to a random person or like a random gamer, like a normal average Joe, and say Kirby and the Forgotten Land is one of the pinnacles of its genre, they're gonna scoff at you and then be like, Kirby, really? The baby game? Which it's not always true, but I just think Kirby in the general sphere will always be looked at as that really easy, simple, cutesy Nintendo game, which sometimes it's more than that. I'm not saying it's Shakespearean levels of peak writing, but
that would be very pretentious of you to say that.
It would be really funny if it was.
Okay, look, so I replayed Forgotten Land before playing through Star Cross World. And I definitely see now more than I did before. Like, I always liked the game, but now I really saw kind of like the spark behind it. I don't know if it's necessarily like the best 3D platformer I've ever played, but it was a lot of fun, especially with this upgrade pack bringing the game from 30 FPS to 60. I really don't want to sound like that guy that's like, now that it's 60, it's good. I already liked it before, but I think saying that the game running way smoother doesn't just like make it flow more naturally and consistently with where the market is at today. I think that would be ridiculous, but yeah, I don't know. The game was really fun. I guess in terms of the actual game itself, stuff that applied to the original on Switch 1, I'm a big fan of the idea of upgrading copy abilities, and that's something that I found myself having a lot of fun with while I was playing through the game. So, for example, I would be, say, World 2, and I would get the ability to like upgrade to, I forgot which world it was that I finally unlocked, like the volcano upgrade for the fire copy ability. That's just like one of the most memorable ones. Or like the pencil like drill copy upgrade. There's so many little upgrades like that it just kind of gives you the short boost of satisfaction while you're playing through the game. That makes it easier to just like, you know, keep your dopamine at an all-time high. You know, it's that way you don't at all run the risk of getting bored as you're, you know, going through your Kirby world adventure.
I because of this upgrade pack, I haven't replayed the game, but I've been going through a couple stages because I realized I actually didn't 100% this game. I 90% of the game. I was missing a couple stuff. So I was a little confused, so then I just, you know, started playing through portion of the game, and I realized this game released in 2022, so it's been 3 good years, and I've been just waves of memories coming back, and I've just been reminded of how really well polished this game is. Every single little detail just so thoughtfully crafted, from just the simple animations to the backgrounds that you don't even interact with, to the copy abilities, to Kirby saying hi when you press up on the D-pad. That all these tiny little details add up to create such a wonderful experience. It's so well polished. Every single little part of this game just pops with creativity and charm, and it's pretty incredible that I've like, wow, I kind of forgot how just well polished this game is. And, you know, obviously with the upgrades with 1440p and 60 frames per second, and then this game, I'll say it's probably like a top 5 best looking game on the Nintendo Switch. It looks really good, and that's partially due to the art style. I think that does a lot of heavy lifting, but the game and the platforming itself and the combat, yeah, it's all the level design is well integrated into the world. It's very tight and curated experience. And I will say your moves. After coming back from a 2D Kirby game, I was playing Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I realized some of the movesets are a little bit more simplified in 3D compared to his 2D outings. So that was a little surprising to me coming back into Forgotten Land, but I think what you said with the copy ability upgrades, that I think it makes up for the loss in a couple of different moves.
I don't know if it's necessarily surprising that the moveset is more simplified, especially given Kirby is, aside from the Forgotten Land, a pretty much entirely 2D series. I mean, for the mainline games, it's all 2D. So, you know, with Kirby's like launch into the third dimension, I can definitely see why they wanted to keep it a little bit more streamlined with the movement. And that's not, I mean, I definitely can see why you would prefer the more nuanced way that you're able to move into 2D games. But I don't know, whenever I was playing through it, it's not something that stuck out as a grievance I had with it or anything.
Mm-hmm. I just think, I was a little surprised that some moves were taken out a little bit, but I think copy ability upgrades definitely make up for it. And also, I remember just now the figurines that you collect throughout the stages. When you go into the collection and like take a closer look, you get a great detailed look at the figurine, but also in the background, like Kirby is so happy. He has the biggest smile on his face, and it just brings me so much joy. I don't. This game is wonderful.
Yeah, because Kirby loves indulging in the gacha mechanics of the figurines. Like I have just as much fun. That's why EA is my favorite company as well. Like I'm sure Kirby would love
children. It's awesome.
Yes, obviously that's a hyperbole because in this case you're not actually like spending real money on these, which. Anytime there's a figurine, not even just figurine, a cosmetic type of situation like this where, in this case, it's figurines where you are able to collect them throughout the game or spend, what's the currency called? It's like gold, right? It's like the gold.
There's gold and then, just star coins.
Yeah, star coins. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. You're able to spend star coins on like the gacha system thing where it gives you a random figurine. There's different volumes of them. That is another one of my favorite aspects of this game because much like, say, the stamps in Super Mario 3D World, for example, it kind of gives more identity to what you are collecting throughout the game. It makes it more memorable. It also makes each level more fun to explore as well. Because that's something that I wasn't really anticipating being such a fun mechanic of this game is that the levels, like, obviously they're not like an open world sandbox type of thing, like, Super Mario Sunshine Odyssey, like one of those games, but there is a little bit of depth to them, and it is honestly pretty fun to figure out the puzzles and stuff, especially in the latter half of the game. So that's definitely another thing I found.
Because it's more linear, they're able to curate the experience more to specifically what the player's doing, so they can easily plan out all these different set pieces because it's a more linear experience.
Right. And so another thing, I don't know if you had this type of perception of the game whenever you play through it. But another thing I really liked was the difficulty. I think in terms of Kirby games, this is pretty much spot on in terms of like what I think the intensity of how hard the game should be. It definitely is not a hard game. It's not like, you're playing a FromSoft game or something. But there
DSP
are moments.
Objects.
there definitely are moments, at least in my opinion, where like later in the game, some of the boss fights, like I had to kind of like actually focus a little bit. Not obviously I didn't have to like completely lock in, where I was like, dude, this is so frustrating. But I don't know, it compared to other Kirby games, like it at least implored me to use strategy a little bit more with, like what copy ability am I going to use in this fight? How am I going to use it? Learning the like what the moveset of the boss that you're fighting. I don't know, I personally found the difficulty to be pretty much like right on the money for Kirby. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you.
As a pro sweaty gamer that smells really bad. This game does really fit the difficulty. It like walks a very thin line, but it walks it perfectly. There are moments. There's the dodge mechanic that's kind of new to this game, where you dodge and it kind of creates a slow-mo effect. I will admit you can kind of abuse that a little bit, and you can kind of get away with a lot of things. So maybe that's a little bit cheesy, but other than that,
bosses, Donovan, yeah. I didn't do that.
Sorry, I guess I need to take a shower more often.
I don't need to use the dodge mechanic to beat the game. So,
the bosses later on, they can get really tough, and they do whittle down my health a lot, especially the more final bosses, and just the bosses themselves. They're pretty unique and pretty cool. I will say. Planet Robobot still has the edge over it's not Star Cross World. The Forgotten Land, probably due to mainly its theming. But there's a couple other factors, but Kirby and the Forgotten Land still holds up really, really well, and is my personal second favorite Kirby game.
I will say another thing about Forgotten Land is the hub area is definitely my favorite in any Kirby game, which I guess there aren't really a ton of hub areas in Kirby games. Not to make this like the 5th straight episode that we bring up Kirby's Epic Yarn, but that's like the only other one I can think of off the top of my head. No. Kirby Returns to Dreamland had the ship, I forgot the name of it. Yeah, the Lore Star Cutter. That was a cute little hub area, but it wasn't very, interesting outside of like the actual activities that you can do inside of it. Kirby's Epic Yarn, you had the whatever the patchland, that's what it's called. You have patchland. You can like kind of design your own apartment. That was a cute little feature. In this game, Kirby has his own house, but you're also able to go to various different shops. You of course have the weapon upgrade center. You have the arena. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on. I think it has a pretty memorable little design. So that's just another little thing that I noticed about this game that I thought was pretty adorable is the hub area.
I love the fact that you build up the area over
exactly,
time,
that too.
Saving all the Waddle Dees, that's extra incentive.
And also saving the Waddle Dees. Awesome. I think that it's very satisfying, being like... what are they I think they call that being a good person or something like that. Yeah, like saving the Waddle Dees.
What's that?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like it. Honestly, we could spend a whole podcast just kind of yapping about random stuff about Forgotten Land, but the whole point of this segment is talking about Star Cross Worlds. That's what the people are here for, Donovan. So what do we think, putting the actual game aside, Star Cross World specifically, or Star Cross Worlds, I mean plural, what are your thoughts on that?
Starcross World is a great companion piece to the game. I don't think it... I mean, obviously, it's just basically DLC.
It's like 12 different levels.
Without the base game, I think this is, a little bit lacking. I haven't completed it fully, but I kind of get the gist. There's 2 starry stages per world. I feel like they could have done a little more. I feel like if the entire game, like every stage has a starry variant, I think that'd be too much. That's basically a brand new game. So I think the amount we have is good enough, but what I've been hearing is some people are saying like, we can have a little bit more. I haven't finished the game yet. I'm halfway through it. What I've played so far, it's a great companion piece. If you like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, you're gonna love this because it's just more Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Okay, here's the thing though, is this is $20. That's my problem. Is yes, the levels that they added, there's 2 levels per world. For the most part, there's no like massive, obviously there's a difference in the platforming because everything kind of becomes like cosmic, and there's like various puzzles where you have to make platforms appear by doing some type of task, oftentimes by utilizing copy abilities, stuff like that. So the levels themselves were fun, just like the base game levels were. But there being 12 of them, and it's still like using the same setting from a lot of those levels, although kind of giving it more of a cosmic nighttime type of aesthetic. It's just like the $20 price tag. I don't know if I think it was justly priced.
To be fair, when I'm playing through these starry variants of the stages, yeah, they do take place in the same stage as before, but once you break the crystals and you just start forming different areas, sometimes inaccessible areas of the previous stage, it kind of feels like a fresh new experience.
That's true.
So I'm not really complaining that it does take place in the same stage because it feels different enough, like barely recognizable from what we had with the regular variant of the stage.
That's true. I guess now that I said that, I kind of think I worded that wrong. It's not necessarily the setting of the levels that I have an issue with. It's more so just the fact that there's 12 of them. There's no real like new boss fights. There's new copy abilities really. I did notice, I think that there's a few new like transformations maybe.
Yeah, there's only 3 new
there's new mouthful modes, but aside from that, I think if it was like a $10 little like package, maybe.
There's also the Ultimate Cup Z, which is a part of the arena, more boss battles, and then there's more figurines, and that's kind of
yeah. I mean, I could see for some people it being worth it, especially if you really enjoy just like playing these levels over and over again, collecting all of the figurines. I mean, yeah, if that is you, maybe $20 wouldn't bother you as much. It's just, for me, I'm already not a huge fan of these whole Nintendo Switch 2 editions, charging $20 for like a little bit of extra content. You already kind of ranted about that before with Jamboree TV. And then, of course, we had Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom getting performance boosts, and like the Zelda Notes app, and now it's $10, unless if you have Nintendo Switch Online, which in my opinion that should have carried over for this as well, but that's a separate thing. Yeah, overall, Star Cross Worlds is fun. The levels are fun. The actual like content itself, there's nothing I'm complaining about. It's more so I just think either there should have been a little bit more, like you said, or they should have priced it a little bit cheaper.
I'm not expecting basically a whole new game. It should have been a little more. Again, I haven't finished it. I'm enjoying my time with it. Just jumping back into Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Of course, it's going to be great, but maybe for $20, maybe it's not worth it to some, but if you really love Forgotten Land, it's just more Forgotten Land, and I think it's worth it. If they charged like $30, $40 for an expansion, then yes, I would expect like a brand new Kirby story with like a whole like maybe 6 new worlds and all that. Like that's what I would expect from like a $30-$40 DLC. But with what we have, I'm not complaining that much.
I don't know.
No, we can always have more.
I mean, just put it this way. I don't think that if someone hasn't played Kirby in the Forgotten Land and they're thinking about buying the Switch 2 edition that's $80, I can't say I think it's worth it. I'll just put it that way. I don't think that it's an $80.
I say if you do love Kirby in the Forgotten Land, yeah, get Star Cross World. Just get the upgrade pack.
Well, you have to have the base game to get.
Yeah. Well, if you really love Kirby in the Forgotten Land, you already have the base game.
Right, that's true. Anyway, moving on. This topic I thought was very interesting. So, of course, one of the big marketing pillars behind the Switch 2 is the fact that it is a much more powerful version of the Switch 1, right? A lot of the same type of features, the same core philosophy where you're able to play it wherever you want, except this time they're going to be able to bring in more third parties since the system will be able to accommodate them better. So it's kind of unfortunate to hear that apparently Elden Ring, what is it called? The Tarnished edition? The Switch 2 edition of Elden Ring. Apparently it is it's apparently running pretty subpar from what a lot of people who have kind of tinkered around with it are saying. Of course, various other third parties, ones that are already out and ones that are upcoming, they don't necessarily seem to be having these issues, so it likely is more so to do with the development of the game itself, but it definitely is unfortunate to hear that in the launch year of the game, or not the game, the system, we're seeing releases that are not taking advantage of the power of the system. So what do you think about that?
I think from what I've heard, it runs as to be expected in TV mode. I think the problem is in handheld.
That's what
mode,
I saw too.
Which kind of is the appeal of the Switch 2.
Well, it's not even that though.
It is a little bit.
Like the article I was reading, it said that apparently the game runs quote unquote fine whenever you are just standing still and looking around, but it's the second you're actually, playing the fucking game, that's whenever it shits the bed and it starts like crapping out. I don't know if that's over exaggerated. That's just kind of like what the attitude of the article was leading on. If that is the case, that's really unfortunate because I don't think that it's defensible for a game to be only running well whenever you are idle and just standing still. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is a problem with the developers. I mean, some developers have been doing, great stuff on the system. Other times, you get subpar parts all the time. It's just disappointing to see that it's Elden Ring that's having the subpar.
Elden Ring should be like one of the most how do I say this? Like one of the most esteemed games to be developed for the Switch 2. I mean, it is.
Well, they did call it Tarnished Edition for a reason.
Well, okay. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. They picked that word very strategically. No, I think that Elden Ring probably should have had more care, assuming this is the development. That's the issue. Yeah, like Elden Ring is like one of the most well-reviewed games of all time. There's many people that laud it as literally one of the most essential games of its genre, of the whole like Dark Souls like campaign styled open world games. So the fact that it's not really being taken advantage of, or at least it seems like that's the case for the Switch 2, is definitely unfortunate. And like I said, it's the launch year for the system. The whole premise of the system is that it is a more powerful version that's able to run these third-party games. So I think it's really important that we're taking advantage of the hardware on launch here. There's going to be a lot of people that are thinking about getting a Switch 2, and if they see subpar editions of games like this, it might deter them from giving the system a shot. So
I don't know if you were going to segue into this one, but Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is running pretty well on Switch 2.
That's an example of like, it seems like these demanding games like the Final Fantasy VII Remake, they're taking advantage of it, and they're actually like putting a lot of work into it. It's not necessarily that the system can't run these games. I mean, I'm far from being a hardware expert, but just based on the fact that Donkey Kong Bonanza runs for the most part pretty well, Mario Kart World runs flawlessly pretty much. Stuff like Cyberpunk runs really well. So, you know, I have confidence that a lot of these games are able to make work, evidence being what you just said with Final Fantasy VII. Despite, I mean, albeit I haven't played Final Fantasy VII, so I don't know personally how demanding the game is, but from what I've seen, it seems pretty strong of a game.
Final Fantasy VII Remake was initially a PS4 game, and Elden Ring also runs on PS4. Switch 2, according to the tech enthusiasts, it's slightly above a PS4 in power level. So Final Fantasy VII Remake running pretty well on Switch 2 shouldn't be a surprise. Elden Ring running pretty poorly on Switch 2. That is a surprise to be sure, because it's like, okay, well, I think that's definitely a developer issue, or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and the Switch 2 actually runs worse than a Nokia.
This is definitely a segment where if there's someone listening that's more knowledgeable than us on the topic with hardware and what goes into development, feel free to let us know in the comments, because there is a genuine chance that there's something else going on here, or another aspect of the development of, or I guess the port of Elden Ring to the Switch 2 that we're maybe not considering. So if that's the case, definitely let us know. I really want to learn more perspectives on this.
Let's get Digital Foundry on here.
Oh boy. Okay.
I personally can't wait to play a Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on Switch 2. I really like that game. I've watched before I played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on my PS5. I watched all the cutscenes of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is 10 hours.
Brother already knows the entire plot of the game.
I watched it twice. I love it that much.
Oh damn. Okay. Well, maybe I need to. I've definitely heard like amazing things about Final Fantasy VII. I've kind of wanted to play a lot of the Final Fantasy, the pixel remasters of the original games. I've heard good things about 15 as well. So yeah, I definitely want to give it a try. It's just a very ambitious game for someone that doesn't have a lot of time to just like throw themselves into. But one thing also that I am a little bit concerned about with Elden Ring, or with this whole news story, assuming that the issue lies with the development of it, is how will FromSoft's Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive game run whenever it comes out? Like, is this at all indicative of what's going to be put into that game?
The Duskbloods.
Because that would not be a good look if that just ran terribly.
If it's going to be a Switch 2 exclusive, you would think they would optimize it well for the hardware and built the game with those limitations in mind, but we'll see.
Hopefully. So speaking of PlayStation, since you were just talking about that a minute ago, what are your thoughts on the PlayStation 6 and the potentiality? I don't know if that's a word. Is that a word? Potential? But the potential.
No.
The potential of
maybe for a lobotomy.
Yeah. For a PlayStation. Damn it, Donovan. For a PlayStation 6 Portable.
Welcome back, PlayStation Vita and PSP.
Hopefully Sony actually supports it this time.
We're gonna move the PlayStation Portal to the side. That one doesn't count. But hoping this is not a PlayStation Portal situation. From what people are saying, it's gonna be an actual PlayStation handheld. The thing is though, with the Switch, the appeal is it's a home console and a handheld. You don't have to buy two separate pieces. with this, it's sounding like, we're going back to the old days where you had to buy the PS6 and the PS6 Portable.
We might have read different articles, because the one I said, they made it sound like, of course, this is all a rumor, by the way, none of this is confirmed, but the website I read from, the rumor was stated that it's kind of like a Switch, though, where it's a hybrid, and I guess whenever you dock it into your TV, the power exceeds that of a PlayStation 5. I don't know how feasible that is.
Are they making two versions of the PS6?
I don't know.
I remember that being a concept for the original Nintendo Switch when it was called Nintendo NX. Kind of weird that they're possibly thinking about that, because then you just have to ask the question, why buy a regular PS6 then?
Exactly. Well, yeah, it would probably be one or the other. It would probably either be a hybrid like the Switch, or it would be they release a home console system and in a cheaper, slightly lower down power version of a portable, but knowing Sony, they would probably still try to pump as much juice into it as they can, because that's their whole thing.
So it'd be a PlayStation Portal if it actually had like hardware inside instead of streaming.
Here's what worries me though about there's multiple reasons I'm worried about it. For one, the financial aspect of it. I don't even want to know how expensive a PlayStation 6 Portable would be, where it is as powerful as it could be to where it could run like high-end PlayStation games.
It's basically going to be the price of like a PC handheld,
which is not cheap.
Like 600, 700 to 1,000.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been sitting here complaining about the Switch 2's price. Well, that would look like child's play compared to this. So obviously we know nothing about what the specific power of this would look like. It's just speculative that Sony would do that if they made a handheld console, because at least over the past few years, it's kind of a meme around the PlayStation 5, but they don't have a ton of exclusives. So, like, I'm not even trying to say that as like a jab at Sony. I mean, it is, because I wish they would make more exclusives, because I do really like their games. But the reason why that's relevant is, why would someone buy a PlayStation 6 and not a Nintendo Switch 2 if there aren't a sufficient amount of your, Ratchet and Clanks, your Spider-Mans, your Astrobots, your God of Wars, those PlayStation must-have experiences. If they're not pumping those out, all the PlayStation Portable is like you said, a high-end portable PC that can run third parties, which if that's what you're looking for, then just get like a Steam Deck or a Switch 2 if the third parties that you're looking at aren't Elden Ring, pretty much.
I guess the big test was this year with the Xbox's collaboration with the ROG Ally, I believe. Basically, the Xbox handheld, everyone was so excited for that until they realized it's just another ROG Ally. So with Xbox, Microsoft, Windows branding, that's kind of the big test. And how much is that going for?
I don't want to know how much that's going for.
Xbox handheld price.
We come prepared on this show. You only get the most professionalism.
ROG Xbox Ally. Oh, there's two versions. ROG Xbox Ally X. God, I hate Microsoft's names. $550 and $899. So $900 for the X version.
Dude, that's twice as much as the Switch 2.
Holy crap.
And it's Xbox, so you don't have any like good must-have games, because all their games are fucking playable on a I somehow failed to pronounce a PC.
The regular version has 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage. If you're playing Xbox games, 512 gigabytes of storage is definitely not enough. The X version has 24 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte. Why is that such a humongous price difference? Holy crap. At least you get the Xbox full screen experience, which I assume with the PlayStation version of this, I assume they would have their own operating system running on this, so you have a pretty nice curated experience compared to just running regular old Windows on a handheld, which doesn't feel great. Xbox Game Bar, sure. Aggregated library, so I'm assuming this is like optimized games. I'm sure PlayStation's gonna have the same thing. I guess that's nice. And then you get cloud saves. Yay.
Yay, I'm paying $900 for cloud saves.
Yeah, $900. I mean, if you like handheld gaming, this is a pretty curated Xbox way of playing. And I'm sure if once PlayStation comes out with their portable, it'll kind of be the same thing with a really expensive price. So I guess the only thing that PlayStation and Xbox have over these PC handhelds is their curated experience of the PlayStation experience. And
I
Xbox.
cannot see myself thinking that these are at all worth it, though. If like just talking about that price tag right there on the higher end 900, what did you say it was on the lower end?
550.
550s. I mean, obviously 450 for the Switch 2 is already pushing it. 550s where we're really starting to enter that territory where we're pricing ourselves out of a lot of families. And the thing about portable gaming systems historically, things like the DS, the 3DS, the PSP, stuff like that, the Game Boy, is that they are very appealing to people with children they're cheaper options most of the time. They're able to run some home console games in the case of like PlayStation specifically, but that's not necessarily the selling point. A lot of the time they kind of prioritize the, for a lack of better terms, the handheldness of the experience. With something like the DS, it's something that kids are able to take on road trips and distract themselves. And of course the market is in a different place now than it was 20 years ago whenever the DS came out. Like, holy shit, I'm old. But I don't know. I think whenever we're charging upwards of $1,000 for a handheld system, we're kind of losing the plot of what these things are meant to be. Of course, it's different if it's a hybrid like the Switch 2, because you're still getting the home console aspect of the gaming experience. But if we're charging that much for a purely handheld system, a lot of those people that were buying things like the DS, the PSP, for example, this is not even in that market anymore. They're not really a part of the demographic because...
Keep in mind the form factor of these devices. A power level of a PS5. I know obviously technology shrinks over time, but like, do you know the size of a PS5? If you shrink that down over, say, let's say 3 more years and 3 more years in the future, that's still going to be, I bet, a pretty beefy looking system. I mean, looking at the Xbox ROG Ally, that's already that is thick with 5 Cs.
Not a compact thing,
scraping by with
not a compact thing that's easy to like, not
portable.
Easy to like take on an airplane or something like that for sure.
Yeah, and hopefully battery life is a concern for PlayStation and Xbox.
Which, by the way, if they wanted to have good battery life, which in my opinion is the most important part of a handheld system, it's only going to be more and more expensive because the graphics, they're probably going to make so juiced up that they're going to drain the battery, meaning that they have to invest even more in, giving high quality battery life, which will then make the price as expensive as possible, pricing out those consumers that I was just talking about a minute ago. All right, keep going, Donovan.
No, that's kind of all I had to say. I think the only appeal is just the curated experience.
I don't even really think that that's an appeal, because that's something that you're getting out of the home console. Like if something like Xbox and PlayStation, that works more so in PlayStation's case because they've actually been successful the past few generations compared to Xbox. But it works because people that are buying a home console system are naturally probably going to be prioritizing things like the graphics and stuff like that, because battery life isn't the same concern that it is with a handheld. And it's just also like historically, like I said before, handhelds are normally for a different demo than home consoles are. So whenever you're taking that same philosophy for a home console system to a handheld, I don't see it converting very well unless if it's done like the Switch 2 as a hybrid, which even then I'm a little bit suspicious about how Microsoft or Sony would go into that.
I mean, PlayStation was kind of doing it well with the PSP, the original PlayStation Portable. I think that was basically a PS2 in your pocket.
Yeah, it was a very very ambitious system and sold a lot of units as well. Very successful. And the PS Vita also like had potential. The only not the only reason, but one of the main reasons it didn't perform well is because Sony just stopped supporting it. Or they didn't even support it very well while they were making games for it. So it's not like these handheld systems are just not at all in a market. Of course, it's a little bit different nowadays because a lot of these handheld systems were made before phones and tablets were. They have their own gaming marketplaces with microtransaction filled like free to play games. So of course it's different now than whenever the DS and the PSP initially launched. But I think that if well designed and it had a clear marketing focus, it's not like something, like a PlayStation Portable couldn't work anymore. Maybe. I mean, I'm not an expert in that specific market and, how many of the consumers have transferred to other mediums, like the phone, for example. But I don't know. I still would be more enticed to buy something like that if it was a cheaper high quality handheld device versus a $900 beefcake of a system.
At that point, just buy the console.
Exactly.
Hold on, wait. Is the wait a minute. The ROG Ally, yeah, that is $900. Okay, Xbox Series S.
I believe that the X is $600 now, right? After tariffs?
It's the handheld. The handheld is more expensive. To be fair, it's the beefier handheld, but the beefiest handheld is more expensive than the beefiest console.
That's stupid. Like, no, that's actually stupid.
That is actually stupid.
I think that
what are we doing here?
We've officially lost the plot if we're making handhelds that are more expensive than their home console counterparts. Imagine going to like 1990 and telling someone that owns a Game Boy that, yeah, in 30 years, we're going to be making the opposite, where you're paying a premium for the handheld experience. Like, no.
Who is buying the X variant of the ROG Ally?
Well, I mean, if someone's just like loaded up on money, I guess.
Unless you're rich. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole discussion about not even a PlayStation Portable or PlayStation 6 Portable, rather, the rumor. Once again, want to reiterate that it's a rumor, not confirmed. But another thing I will quickly say, though, is that I care more about PlayStation, actually making games than making a portable system in the first place. I just want to see them make more exclusives, not just sequels to exclusives, but new IPs in general. They proved that they're able to do it with Astrobot, so I want to see more of it. Come on, Sony.
Concordillion dollars it made.
That was a good joke, Donovan. You killed that.
It made $0. I think it made negative, actually.
So before we get to questions, let's quickly touch on Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which is going to be releasing relatively soon, and we'll save the discussion for the game itself for after it comes out, because I don't know about you, Donovan, but I'm definitely going to be buying it because I am I would say I'm a moderate fan of Sonic Racing, but more specifically, I just love racing games in general, and it does look like a good game. But if you're a Sonic Racing fan, in a few minutes you might want to cover your ears because I'm going to be making fun of the fan base in a second. So, but what I will say is
they already left.
What I will say is that Sonic and Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed, which released during the 360 Wii U, that era. They weren't even a part of the same era. I'm out of it today. I'm getting all my facts wrong.
You are tweaking.
I really am. No, so Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed. It's a really fun game. I over the past year I've been playing it on Steam. It is so well designed for a racer. The tracks are a lot of fun. I keep saying the same words over and over too. Oh no. Anyway, the part of the appeal of these Sonic racing games, you have a ton of characters that you're able to use even outside of the Sonic platform. For example, in All Stars Racing Transformed, you can race as Wreck-It Ralph. So yeah, you can. Wreck-It Ralph is in that game. I'm being so serious.
Oh, poor Wreck-It Ralph.
There's a lot of people that think that Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is better. It's like the better counterpart to Mario Kart 8. I don't know if I necessarily think that, but I do think it's a lot of fun. And then they had Sonic Team Racing on the Switch generation. That game was a step down, but it still was like polished and everything, so I can't make fun of it too much. But with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, whenever I say I'm going to make fun of the Sonic fan base, it's more so the vocal minority, because I know most people are probably very chill, and I don't want to associate this with everyone. But what a lot of people are doing is using this as a way to just like completely beat down on Mario Kart World. People are like, oh, like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is this generation's best racing game before it comes out, and they're like showing gameplay footage side by side of Mario Kart World and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds and trying to imply that Mario Kart World looks bad. Just overall, like this whole Sonic versus Mario war, which is so played out and cringe, people are just still trying to perpetuate. I just had to rant about it really quick on the show. So once again, if you're a chill Sonic fan, I stand with you. Okay, I like Sonic.
Wait, this is a shower thought. Why does Sonic need a car?
Wait, you're right. You're right. How did I not think of this? Sonic.
Why does he need a car?
Sonic on his own could probably run faster than the car. What? Wait.
Well, maybe he's a car enthusiast.
But nobody. Never mind. Okay. Well, let's just put that aside. Okay, that's aside the point. I don't know. I think the game itself looks good, and maybe it will be better than Mario Kart World. I'm not saying that that's impossible. I just think it's like funny, this whole like, idea of like trying to push the narrative that Sonic, the Sonic racing games just like trounce all over Mario Kart. This isn't the first time that idea has been brought up, but it's like ever since Mario Kart World got unveiled for the Switch 2, there's been this whole like mob on Twitter that continuously post about this. I'm not necessarily like, I don't care that much. I'm mainly just bringing it up because I think it's funny, but it also is definitely cringe. So yeah. Donovan, was there anything that you wanted to add on to that, or do you want to go and move on to questions?
It's like that image where a bunch of people, or like one person screams like Sonic Cross, whatever the game is called, is better than Mario Kart World, and then the guy like just gives him a thumbs up, and then they just go back to talking in their
exactly
circle.
It's like
I feel like it's
don't get me wrong, like Mario Kart World is not a
yeah, I'm sure it's
Mario
a
Kart
good
World
game.
is not a perfect game, and I'm sure Sonic Racing Cross Worlds will be great. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks very high quality, and like I said, if it is better than Mario Kart World, I will take the L on that. I will give the Sonic fans the win. I still will think that you were kind of cringe about the way they went about that whole narrative, but like I'm a man of my word. If I play Sonic Racing Cross Worlds and I decide that, you know what, yeah, this is better than Mario Kart World, I will admit it on the show with my chest out. Okay, I promise.
Hey, Sonic fans need a couple wins. They got Shadow Generations and
Sonic 06. There's a lot of Sonic Forces. There's a lot of questionable releases in there.
Sonic Forces is the pinnacle of the franchise, Anyways, I'm hoping all the Sonic fans can give this a thumbs up,
Yeah. So, questions. Now that this video has been bombarded with dislikes.
Wait, we spent 2 podcasts in a row shitting on Sonic.
Oh, yeah.
Last time we were dissing his ability to read.
Well, hey, you were the one doing that, okay?
I was doing that. Here, I'll take the hit. I'll take the sacrifice. You can all
to any Sonic fans mad at me right now, I was on Team Sonic last episode, okay? I like Sonic.
You guys can run me over in your cars that you don't need.
And I also have a soft spot for Sonic as well, because Ben Schwartz is the voice of Sonic, who's one of my favorite comedians as well. So, I already have a tendency to be, I don't know why I'm trying to say this all articulately, but I like Sonic. I'm just trying to save face because
the Sonic
because
movies
I know
are good.
we can talk about the Sonic movies in a future episode, but I just know we're gonna get comments for this. I'm trying to save face right now. All right, for questions, I'll go ahead and say this as always. If you have any questions that you want us to answer, gaming related or not, feel free to send those over in the Special Hour Discord server, which is linked in the channel page, or you can leave that down below in the comments. So with that being said, we have 3 questions as always. Our first is from Try, who is a friend of the channel, was on the podcast prior to this. He asks, what Nintendo series is underappreciated and what Nintendo series is overrated? We've answered question that's like kind of similar to this one, but we'll go through this again. For underappreciated, I will go ahead and throw my flowers to Luigi's Mansion. There we go. That's underappreciated. And then overrated, I don't, there's not a Nintendo series I truly think is like overrated. I also just think that term, it's kind of a paradox, because it's like whenever a bunch of people call something overrated, it inevitably, like, the value of it goes down, making it not overrated anymore. But I guess if I had to pick one that's overrated, I'll go with I'll just say Smash Bros, because I'm not as into it. So, time to piss off even more people. Go ahead, Donovan.
Yeah, so you pissed me off, and I'm gonna throw my microphone down your throat.
You can say Mario Kart for yours, and we can be even.
It's Mario. No. I think, yeah, we covered a question that was kind of similar to this one, and I think for that one, like an underrated series, I said Splatoon. But to mix it up, I'm gonna go with Nintendo Labo. I think that was a really neat experiment. That was my first video, and I have a soft spot for Nintendo.
That is not the answer I was expecting.
It's an interesting series that they had going on. It just stimulated my brain cells when I was a kid. I have a soft spot for that. Overrated, I'm gonna say Pokemon, even though people kind of hate that.
So Mario Power 55 asks, also another friend of the channel too, other than Mario Kart or Donkey Kong, what games do you guys want to see Nintendo bring back for the Switch 2? Think about the games that have not come back yet. I'm gonna go with Star Fox. Just a Star Fox game. A good Star Fox game, specifically.
A Kid Icarus Uprising. I want that on Switch. Or basically another Kid Icarus game from Sakurai. He's a little bit busy.
Kid Icarus is a pretty underrated series, just from that one game, honestly. Because that is honestly very... I haven't played it, but I've heard great things about Uprising. So, yeah.
I haven't played it either, and I want it to come to Switch, and... if it doesn't ever, I guess I'll buy the 3DS version.
So our final question for today comes from Blu-ray, which is a usual questionnaire. So thank you, Blu-ray, as always. If you could be the lead of a Nintendo game, specifically making all the decisions, which game would you make?
Like a completely original game, or could it be something from an already established series?
Let's just say from an already established series. If I could steal my answer from my previous question and say Star Fox again, I don't know if that's like too much of a cop-out, but that is my genuine answer. I would want to make a Star Fox game that isn't, as we've talked about before, just like retreading Star Fox 64, but making it way worse. I would like to make, a very like more open, like almost space sim type of Star Fox game.
For me, I'm not the most knowledgeable on this series. I know my stuff, but I would like to know more, and there's probably way better than me at knowing this stuff, but I want to direct a Mother 3 remake. It needs to happen. I'm begging for it to happen, and I will make it happen, obviously. Right. My uncle works at Nintendo, by the way.
Right. So one day, whenever Nintendo tries to take down this podcast, we can use that as a leverage point. So thank you, guys, for the questions, as always. We really appreciate it. And like I said before, feel free to send more questions our way, and we'll be sure to answer them on the show. So, Donovan, where can the people find you on the internet if they enjoyed your voice and want to hear more from you? Wow.
Hey, you can find me on DonovanDud, YouTube. I'll be uploading an interesting video. I haven't done so in a while because of school. It's probably out by now. I said this 2 days ago. And then you can find me and primarily interact with me on the Nintendo Boys. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. What about you?
So I am on YouTube, MrDean44. Feel free to go check that out. I would really appreciate it. I'm also on Blue Sky. I'm unfortunately on Twitter. And then I also have a Discord server called the Dean Kingdom. Just kind of your typical Discord server stuff. What's funny is we've been talking about trying to revamp that server, and we still have not gotten around to it. So maybe we should do that. And if we do, then we can touch on that on the podcast. But yeah,
it's gonna become a running gag now. Transformers. There we go.
Yeah, Transformers. Yeah.
Podcast.
All right, so thank you everyone for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And here is our usual great outro that we know how to do and not make awkward at all.
Bye.